Thanks for coming in on Canada Tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. So first off, let me just get your reaction to what you just heard there from Jagmeet Singh and the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister says, you know, the Conservatives aren't supporting social programs like the Canada Child Care Benefit, dental care, and on and on and on. What's your response to that? And then we'll go to Jagmeet Singh.
Look, the Liberals have had retreat after retreat where they haven't addressed the issues that Canadians are actually talking about, and that's affordability. There are 2 million Canadians waiting in lines at food banks. The price of a house has doubled. The price of a mortgage has doubled. The price of rent continues to increase, and that has also doubled. And these Liberals have done nothing to address these affordability issues. So we're waiting for the moment where they start to answer the concerns of Canadians, the concerns that we're hearing from coast to coast to coast.
And on the social issues, you know, he's critical on, you know, dental care, child care, etc. What's your response to specifically that?
Look, we've talked about this in the House. We don't have currently we don't have a dental care program. In terms of child care, it is become impossible to get a spot. This is not a program that works for the government, and it's certainly not one that Canadians are asking for, have asked for, or are happy with. Just like the Liberals' entire plan.
Okay, and Jagmeet Singh there, you know, criticizing the Liberals on housing affordability. What's your response to that?
Jagmeet Singh has voted time and time again with the Liberals to keep them in power, to raise taxes, to raise the price of housing. They have continuously voted with Liberals, come out to the podium and say we've either reluctantly done so or we're not going to. We haven't seen a day yet where the NDP has not saved the Liberals, and together that cover-up coalition of every single scandal in the House of Commons continues at the behest of Canadians.
You know, there's lots of retreats going on right now, lots of meetings. I know that your party is going to be meeting this weekend to kind of strategize before you go into the House on Monday. Talk to me about some of the Conservative priorities as you head into next week.
Look, our priorities are the priorities of Canadians. We are going to meet this weekend. We're going to do it in Ottawa and not in a fancy hotel in Montreal. And we're going to talk about the issues that we've been talking about for more than a year now. Housing affordability, inflation, interest rates, rising taxes like the quadrupling of the carbon tax that the Liberals are still committed to doing, even after their own caucus has revolted on it, even after they've carved out pieces of it. We're also going to talk about the violent crime that is raging in our cities, the drugs, the disorder, the chaos.
I want to talk to you, I want to zone in on one of the things that you just mentioned there, and that's interest rates, because we did see the Bank of Canada hold steady here on that key interest rate at 5%. We were talking about this on the intersection panel yesterday and about how this is really squeezing Canadians right now, but the Liberals say there are a lot of global factors at play here, that it's, you know, inflation can't be blamed on one party. There's so many different factors going on. What's your response to that? And talk to me about the interest rate and what you thought of the Bank of Canada whole extent here.
Look, we have Canadians, again, from coast to coast to coast, who are struggling just to get by. They're struggling to keep their homes. They're struggling to put food on the table. That's the excessive taxes and that's the excessive spending of the Liberals. We've been clear on that. We're going to continue to hold this government to account on the wasteful spending that frankly, they continue to do and continue not to understand what Canadians want. You can go out into the street here in Toronto, in Vancouver, in Montreal, in any place, and there is no Canadian that is better off today than they were 8 years ago. And that's what we're going to continue hammering the government for.
You know, the Prime Minister did a year-end interview with Rosemary Barton. He said, you know, it's fine and good for the Conservatives to be able to criticize, but I have to come up with solutions here. You know, when the Conservatives say that, and they say, when the Liberals say that, and they say the Conservatives are just not providing solutions, what's your response?
Well, we have provided plenty of solutions on housing. For instance, we are going to fund those municipalities who approve more housing and penalize those that don't. There's a solution right now. There's something that the government can have done. Under this government, for the last 8 years, you have seen a doubling in housing costs. This is the fastest that it's happened anywhere. That happened in Canada under the watch of Justin Trudeau. So it's all fine and good that he doesn't believe that any of this is his fault. But we're going to continue holding them to account. They now have a housing minister who screwed up the immigration who screwed up the immigration file, who's now in charge of just building more houses, of now addressing the problem that Canadians have faced over the 8 years. They have created the problems, and now they're trying to cover up and solve the problems that they themselves created.
Let me ask you about this news on the student visa cap, which we heard Ontario colleges today say, they were not consulted about. They don't agree with this decision. What's your thinking here, and what would the Conservative Party have done differently? Because, the minister said that this really is a pause to try to deal with this situation. There are a lot of bad actors in this industry.
Immigration has become out of control under this government. In fact, those aren't my words. Those are the words of the current immigration minister about the last immigration minister, who's now in charge of fixing housing. We are going to tie immigration to the number of homes available, the number of jobs in the labor market, the amount of professionals like doctors and nurses that every Canadian deserves to see. Look, if you're coming here for the Canadian dream, probably a lot like your parents and my parents did, then you have to be able to offer that. And right now, there's an imbalance, and we've got to address that. They have screwed up the immigration file, and we are going to fix it. A common-sense Conservative government will fix immigration.
Yesterday, we heard from an MP calling for a leadership, Liberal MP calling for a leadership review. He later walked that back, but today we also learned about the departure of Justice Minister David Lametti to the private sector to be a lawyer. How do you think this is going to play out in the next sitting?
Look, this isn't the first time we've heard about Liberal caucus members having issues with their leadership, with the Prime Minister, with his leadership. Ken McDonald, before PMO told him to retract those comments, was very clear and on the record. We've seen anonymous sources and various news stories calling for the same thing. There certainly is unrest. Canadians are noticing, and now his own caucus is saying exactly what Canadians in the streets are saying, that they don't believe that he should lead this party, or there should be some kind of review. The point is that they don't have confidence in his leadership, and I think maybe we'll see a lot more of that. As for Mr. Lametti, of course, we wish him well in all of his endeavors, but this comes on the heels of a landmark federal court decision on the Emergencies Act, the invocation of the Emergencies Act, the illegal invocation of the Emergencies Act, and we're not surprised to see the Justice Minister who was in charge at the time go.
What are Conservatives going to do to appeal to more moderates, particularly on social issues?
Well, look, I think Canadians see that what is happening right now is not working. It's not working in terms of higher taxes. It's not working in terms of higher housing prices. It's not working in terms of in terms of higher food prices and the out of control inflation on that. This is, these are issues that face every single Canadian, and I think that message is resonating. And if it wasn't resonating, then I don't think you'd hear the Prime Minister even acknowledge that there is a problem. And that's exactly what we're going to keep talking about. Common sense solutions to give Canadians, to allow Canadians to keep more of their money, have more freedom to spend it where they want, and be able to live a life, to work hard and get ahead.
I got to sneak one more in because I got to run here soon. But Conservatives are often, blamed for the demise of political discourse. My colleagues in Ottawa asked the Liberals how much responsibility they hold. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on this.
Look, this is another distraction. This is another distraction that I think is Liberals are throwing out there because they don't like the very fact that they're being held to account. Look, this is an issue, I think, that touches every single parliamentarian and every single Canadian. And I think if the Liberals were more responsible in government, we'd have less conversations that divide Canadians, less conversations that are politically charged, and more about the substance in public policy.
Okay. Melissa Lantsman, Deputy Leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, MP for Thornhill. Appreciate you stopping by Canada tonight. I know you got a busy weekend ahead, and then a busy week ahead as well. Come back again.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Well, still ahead on Canada Tonight, our panelists meet at the intersection. We'll hear what they think about the impacts of Canada.